Today I want to speak to you about hope, faith, and perseverance. I want to remind you of something that many of us hold in our hearts but sometimes need to hear aloud. God will make a way for you. Faith is often called the anchor of the soul, grounding us in hope and assurance, especially when we face life's hardest obstacles. The journey of life, filled with its twists, turns, and unexpected challenges, can sometimes feel overwhelming. We might encounter situations that seem impossible to overcome, times when we feel surrounded by darkness, trapped with no visible way out. But faith teaches us that there is always a way, even when we cannot see it. With faith, we come to understand that obstacles, while real, are not insurmountable barriers. Rather, they can become opportunities for growth, transformation, and deeper connection with the divine. Through faith, we find the strength to overcome any obstacle, to rise above our doubts, and to trust in something greater than ourselves. Faith is the conviction that there is more to life than what we see or understand. It is an assurance that there is a purpose to every season, every hardship, and every unexpected turn. Obstacles often appear as tests, challenging our beliefs and shaking our confidence. They can make us question our path, our purpose, and even our worth. Yet, in these times, faith invites us to see beyond the surface. It asks us to look at our circumstances not as the end, but as a bridge to a new beginning. Faith does not deny the presence of pain, disappointment, or hardship, rather. It acknowledges these realities while affirming that they do not have the final word. Imagine standing before an insurmountable mountain. The path is steep, the climb daunting, and every step seems to take you further away from comfort and safety. Without faith, the mountain can look intimidating, impossible even, and the natural reaction might be to give up or turn back. But with faith, that mountain transforms. Instead of being an obstacle, it becomes a challenge that, once faced, will lead to growth, strength, and a new perspective. Faith tells us that the mountain was not placed there to stop us, but to shape us. As we climb, we learn resilience, perseverance, and humility. We realize that we're stronger than we thought, and that with every step forward, we're moving closer to our purpose. Throughout history, people of faith have faced seemingly impossible challenges, and through faith, have overcome them. Stories from sacred texts, historical accounts, and personal testimonies offer countless examples of individuals who faced dire situations, but because of their faith, emerged victorious. Faith does not guarantee that the road will be easy, but it does assure us that the journey is meaningful. For many, the essence of faith is the belief in a higher power that cares, guides, and intervenes in our lives. This belief provides strength, especially when circumstances appear bleak. Faith then becomes a source of courage, a reminder that we are never truly alone, and that even the darkest night eventually gives way to dawn. One of the most powerful aspects of faith is that it changes our perspective. When we view obstacles through the lens of faith, we begin to see possibilities where others see impossibilities. Faith reminds us that our current situation is not the end, but rather a stepping stone to something greater. When life seems filled with dead ends, faith opens our eyes to new paths and solutions. It reminds us that our minds are often limited by fear, past experiences, and self-doubt, while faith operates beyond these limitations. Faith invites us to believe in miracles and breakthroughs, and in a future that surpasses our understanding. It tells us that the same God who created us has a purpose for us, and that purpose is not hindered by the obstacles we encounter. Faith also instills in us a profound sense of hope. Hope is the companion of faith, lighting the way even when the journey is long and hard. When we feel like giving up, faith whispers to us, urging us to hold on just a little longer. It encourages us to persevere, knowing that there is a purpose to our pain and a reason for our trials. Every obstacle, no matter how difficult, is an opportunity for God to work in our lives, teaching us patience, humility, and dependence on Him. We may not always understand why we face certain hardships, but faith allows us to trust that God is using each one to prepare us for something greater. Obstacles, then, are not only challenges to be overcome, but also lessons to be learned. Through them, we grow in character, wisdom, and spiritual depth. Faith is also a deeply personal journey. It calls us to go beyond what is seen, to embrace the mystery of the unseen, and to trust that there is more to life than meets the eye. In the face of obstacles, faith gives us an inner peace that defies logic. It calms our anxious thoughts, reassures our troubled hearts, and fills us with a strength that comes from knowing we are held by a power greater than ourselves. This inner peace is not a denial of our circumstances, but a powerful reminder that our circumstances do not define us. Faith anchors us in the knowledge that no matter how strong the storm, there is a stillness within us that cannot be shaken. Furthermore, faith brings us closer to others who share similar beliefs. It creates a sense of community, of belonging, and of shared purpose. When we face obstacles, faith reminds us that we are not alone. We are part of a larger story, a divine plan that includes not only our personal journey, but also the journeys of those around us. In times of difficulty, we can find encouragement in the stories of others who have faced similar challenges and overcome them through faith. Their stories become a source of inspiration, reminding us that if God made a way for them, He will make a way for us too. Ultimately, faith empowers us to act, to move forward despite fear, and to take steps toward the future with confidence. It is not passive, it calls us to be proactive, to trust that as we move, God moves with us. Faith is the driving force that propels us to face our fears, to confront our doubts, and to pursue our dreams, even when the way seems unclear. In doing so, we come to realize that faith is not only about waiting for a miracle, it is also about being willing to be part of that miracle. It is about believing that with God, all things are possible, and that He can transform even the most daunting obstacles into stepping stones for His purpose in our lives. In conclusion, faith is the power that enables us to overcome any obstacle. It gives us courage, changes our perspective, instills hope, and reminds us that we are never alone. With faith, we can face life's challenges with a sense of purpose and assurance, knowing that God is with us every step of the way. No matter how difficult the journey, faith tells us that there is a way forward, that the obstacles in our path are not there to defeat us, but to refine us. So let us hold on to our faith, for it is through faith that we find the strength to overcome, and the confidence to move forward into the future that God has prepared for us. Trust is one of the most challenging yet rewarding aspects of faith. It requires us to place our confidence in something beyond our understanding, to believe in a plan that may not align with our limited perspective. Life often brings unexpected twists, challenges, and moments of uncertainty that leave us feeling unsettled, anxious, or doubtful. In these moments, we are called to let go of the need for complete understanding and to trust that there is a purpose to every part of our journey, even when we cannot see it. Trusting beyond understanding means letting go of the urge to control every outcome. As human beings, we naturally seek control and predictability. We like to know what's going to happen and why. But trust asks us to surrender that need and to believe in a higher power, God, who sees the bigger picture. It means accepting that while we may have a plan for our lives, God's plan is ultimately wiser and more complete. This level of trust can feel uncomfortable and even frightening because it involves releasing control and embracing the unknown. But it is in this act of surrender that we find a peace that cannot be achieved through our own efforts. There is a freedom that comes with trusting beyond understanding. When we stop trying to figure everything out on our own, we make space for God to move in ways that we may not anticipate, but that ultimately work out for our good. This trust is not blind, it is a faith rooted in the belief that God is good, that He loves us, and that He is working all things for a purpose. Trusting God doesn't mean we ignore reality or pretend that challenges don't exist. Instead, it means acknowledging our reality while holding on to the belief that God's wisdom is far greater than ours. It means believing that even in confusion, pain, or hardship, God is present, guiding us toward a greater purpose. When we trust beyond understanding, we open ourselves to lessons and growth that we would otherwise miss. Challenges and uncertainties become opportunities for us to deepen our character and refine our values. Each situation that requires trust is like a stepping stone in our spiritual journey, bringing us closer to God and teaching us patience, humility, and resilience. Without moments of uncertainty, we would not have the chance to grow in our capacity to trust. These experiences shape us, strengthening our faith and allowing us to develop a deeper connection with God. Trusting beyond our understanding also means letting go of our own timelines. In today's fast-paced world, we're accustomed to instant gratification and quick results. However, spiritual growth and God's plans often operate on a different timeline, one that requires patience. We may be eager for change or resolution, but God may be teaching us something valuable in the waiting period. By trusting in His timing, we learn to let go of impatience and to rest in the knowledge that everything will unfold when it's meant to. This waiting is not passive, it is an act of trust, a faith that God knows exactly when and how things should happen for our ultimate good. Another profound aspect of trusting beyond understanding is that it helps us to embrace uncertainty with courage. Life is filled with unknowns, and every day we encounter situations that we cannot fully predict or control. Trusting in God allows us to face these unknowns with a sense of peace, knowing that we don't have to have all the answers. When we face uncertainty with faith, we become resilient, adaptable, and open to whatever comes our way. We learn to trust not only in God's plan, but also in His ability to carry us through whatever lies ahead, confident that He will provide us with the strength and wisdom we need for each step. In moments of difficulty, trusting beyond understanding brings us closer to the heart of God. In our most vulnerable times, we often turn to God with the deepest, most sincere prayers, asking for guidance, comfort, and peace. This vulnerability allows us to experience God's presence in a way that we may not experience in moments of comfort and certainty. As we lean on Him, we realize that He is not a distant force, but a compassionate, loving Father who cares for us intimately. We come to understand that even in our confusion or pain, He is right beside us, comforting us and guiding us toward healing and wholeness. Sometimes trusting beyond understanding means accepting that we may never know all the answers. We may not always understand why certain things happen or why some prayers seem unanswered. However, this acceptance can be liberating. It shifts our focus from needing to understand everything to simply being present in the journey. We realize that our faith is not dependent on knowing all the answers, but on trusting in a God who does. This perspective allows us to live with a sense of peace and joy, even amidst uncertainties, knowing that our lives are held in divine hands. Trusting beyond understanding also brings us into a place of gratitude. When we trust that God is working for our good, we begin to see life's challenges as opportunities for growth and blessings in disguise. Instead of focusing on what we don't have or don't understand, we learn to appreciate the blessings that are already present. This trust transforms our perspective, helping us to see each moment as part of God's loving provision. We become grateful not only for the times when things go as planned, but also for the trials that teach us resilience, the waiting periods that cultivate patience, and the uncertainties that deepen our faith. As we grow in our ability to trust beyond understanding, we inspire others to do the same. Our faith becomes a light for those around us, especially in a world where many struggle with anxiety, fear, and doubt. When others see us facing challenges with faith and peace, they are encouraged to seek the same source of strength. Our trust in God serves as a testimony to His faithfulness, reminding others that there is hope beyond what they see. By living in trust, we not only strengthen our own faith, but also become a source of encouragement and support for those around us. In essence, trusting beyond understanding is a journey of surrender and faith. It is a choice to believe that, despite our limited perspective, God is in control and His plans for us are good. This trust does not remove the difficulties from our lives, but it transforms how we approach them. It replaces anxiety with peace, impatience with patience, and fear with courage. Trusting beyond understanding is not a one-time decision, but a daily commitment to place our confidence in God, to walk forward even when the path is unclear, and to believe that every step is guided by divine love and wisdom. When we trust in God beyond our own understanding, we find a freedom that transcends circumstances. We no longer feel the need to have everything figured out, to control every outcome, or to seek validation from external sources. Instead, we find a quiet confidence that comes from knowing that our lives are held by the one who knows us completely and loves us unconditionally. This trust becomes the foundation of our lives, a source of strength and resilience, allowing us to face each day with hope, peace, and a sense of purpose. In a world where so much is uncertain, trusting beyond understanding is a powerful act of faith. It is an acknowledgement that our lives are part of a greater story, one written by a loving Creator who sees, knows, and cares for us in ways beyond our comprehension. As we walk this journey, may we find the courage to trust beyond our understanding, knowing that with God, we are never truly alone, and that every step we take is leading us closer to the fulfillment of His perfect plan for our lives. Taking steps in faith is about moving forward with confidence, even when the path ahead seems uncertain or unclear. It is an act of courage and trust in a higher power, trusting that each step, no matter how small, is leading us toward a purpose that may not yet be visible. Acting in faith doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending that doubts don't exist. Rather, it means acknowledging those challenges and doubts while choosing to move forward anyway. It's a decision to trust that God is guiding us, even when we can't see the entire journey. One of the essential aspects of taking steps in faith is letting go of the need for absolute certainty. Many of us wait for perfect conditions before we make a move, hoping for signs or guarantees that everything will work out as we desire. However, faith requires us to act without having all the answers. Taking steps in faith means accepting that life is unpredictable and that we may not have a clear roadmap. Instead, we have to trust that with each step we take, we are moving closer to the path that God has prepared for us. This journey requires us to trust not only in God's guidance, but also in the abilities and strengths He has given us. When we take steps in faith, we're choosing to believe that we are capable of handling the challenges we may face along the way. Sometimes our first step is simply acknowledging that we are ready for change, even if we don't yet know what that change will look like. Each small action we take builds our confidence, allowing us to confront fear and uncertainty with resilience. As we take each step, we learn to rely on God's strength rather than our own, discovering that faith gives us the courage to do things we never thought possible. Taking steps in faith also requires a sense of patience and perseverance. The road may not always be smooth, and there will be times when we encounter obstacles or setbacks that make us question our choices. Faith doesn't promise an easy journey, but it does promise that we are not alone. When we encounter difficulties, it's easy to feel discouraged or to think that we made the wrong decision. However, faith encourages us to persevere, reminding us that every challenge we face is an opportunity for growth. Each step, even the difficult ones, brings us closer to fulfilling our purpose and strengthens our character in the process. One of the biggest obstacles to taking steps in faith is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. These can all hold us back from moving forward. Yet faith asks us to confront our fears and to trust that God is bigger than any obstacle we might face. When we allow fear to control our decisions, we limit ourselves and may miss out on the opportunities that God has placed before us. Faith, on the other hand, frees us from the grip of fear, reminding us that our worth and success are not determined by the opinions of others or by any single outcome. Faith allows us to step out in courage, believing that no matter what happens, we will grow and learn from the experience. Taking steps in faith often begins with small, seemingly insignificant actions. It might mean making a difficult phone call, applying for a new job, reaching out to a friend for support, or setting aside time to work on a personal project. These actions may not seem grand, but they are expressions of trust. Each small step taken in faith builds momentum, gradually moving us closer to our goals. Faith is not just about making big leaps, it is about consistently moving forward, trusting that each action, no matter how small, has meaning and purpose. Over time, these small steps add up, creating a path that leads us to places we never imagined possible. Another important aspect of taking steps in faith is learning to let go of the desire for immediate results. In today's world, we're used to instant gratification, but faith teaches us that some things take time. Growth, healing, and transformation are often gradual processes. When we take steps in faith, we may not see the fruits of our efforts right away. This waiting period can be challenging, but it is also an essential part of the journey. During this time, we learn to rely on God's timing rather than our own, trusting that each step we take is part of a bigger picture. Faith reminds us that even when we can't see the progress, God is working behind the scenes, preparing us for what lies ahead. Taking steps in faith also deepens our relationship with God. As we move forward, we learn to rely on His guidance and to seek His wisdom. Each step we take becomes an opportunity for us to connect with Him, to express our doubts, our fears, and our hopes. Faith is not a solitary journey, it is a partnership with God. By taking steps in faith, we invite Him into our lives, allowing His presence to guide and shape us. This relationship grows stronger as we trust Him more, and we begin to see His hand at work in ways we hadn't noticed before. Our faith becomes a source of strength, comfort, and inspiration, reminding us that we are not walking alone. When we take steps in faith, we also become an inspiration to others. Our courage and trust can serve as a source of hope for those around us who may be struggling with their own challenges. By moving forward in faith, we show others that it is possible to overcome fear and uncertainty. Our journey becomes a testament to the power of faith, encouraging others to take their own steps and to trust in God's plan for their lives. Through our actions, we become examples of what is possible when we choose to live in faith rather than in fear. Taking steps in faith can also open doors to unexpected opportunities. Sometimes, when we step out in trust, God leads us to paths and people we never anticipated. By being open to change and willing to move forward, we position ourselves to receive new blessings and to experience life in ways we hadn't imagined. Faith invites us to be open to the unknown, to embrace the journey even when we don't know the destination. As we take each step, we begin to see that God's plans for us are often more incredible and fulfilling than anything we could have planned for ourselves. Ultimately, taking steps in faith is about surrendering control and choosing to believe that our lives are part of a greater purpose. It's about trusting that each step, whether big or small, is leading us in the right direction. This journey requires courage, patience, and resilience, but it also brings immense rewards. By taking steps in faith, we grow closer to God, deepen our sense of purpose, and discover strengths within ourselves that we never knew we had. Each step brings us closer to becoming the people we were meant to be, revealing the potential and purpose that God has placed within us. In conclusion, taking steps in faith is a powerful act of trust and courage. It involves moving forward even when the future is uncertain, trusting that God is guiding us every step of the way. It requires us to confront our fears, to persevere through challenges, and to believe in a purpose that may not yet be clear. With each step we take, we grow stronger in our faith, deeper in our connection with God, and closer to fulfilling our purpose. So let us take each step in faith, trusting that we are on the path that God has set before us, and that every step is bringing us closer to the life He has prepared for us. God's timing is a concept that challenges and humbles us. In a world where we are accustomed to instant answers, immediate results, and constant control, the idea that there is a time for everything one beyond our understanding can be both comforting and unsettling. The truth is, God's timing is often different from ours, and while we may not always understand it, it is always perfect. His timing operates on a scale that transcends our comprehension, weaving together moments, experiences, and encounters in ways that only He can see. To trust in God's timing is to recognize that there is a divine rhythm to our lives, one that unfolds according to a plan far greater than our own. One of the most challenging aspects of understanding God's timing is learning to wait. Waiting is not easy, especially when we are eager for answers, relief, or a new beginning. We pray for change, we hope for progress, and we long for the fulfillment of our dreams. Yet sometimes God's answer is to wait. In these times, it's natural to feel frustrated or discouraged. However, waiting is not wasted time, it is often a period of preparation. When we are called to wait, God is working in ways we cannot see, shaping our character, refining our faith, and preparing us for what lies ahead. The waiting period becomes a time of growth, teaching us patience, resilience, and trust in God's plan. Instead of focusing on what we don't have, we learn to appreciate what God is doing in our lives during this season. When we trust in God's timing, we begin to see that every delay has a purpose. There are times when we feel ready for something, but God knows that we are not yet prepared for what we are asking for. He may delay an answer to protect us from outcomes we are not ready to handle, or to align circumstances that we cannot foresee. His delays are not denials, they are acts of love and wisdom, ensuring that everything happens at the right time. What seems like a setback is often a setup for something greater. God's timing allows us to mature, to grow in wisdom, and to become the people we need to be in order to fully appreciate and handle the blessings He has prepared for us. God's timing also teaches us humility. When we are accustomed to planning and controlling our lives, it can be difficult to accept that we are not the ones in control. But faith requires us to let go of our need for control and to acknowledge that God's wisdom is far beyond ours. When we trust in His timing, we recognize that we do not have all the answers and that we are part of a much larger picture. This humility is liberating. It frees us from the pressure of making everything happen on our own and reminds us that we are not alone. We come to understand that God, in His infinite wisdom, sees what we cannot and knows what is best for us in every situation. Another profound lesson in God's timing is learning to appreciate the journey rather than rushing toward the destination. When we focus solely on reaching our goals, we often miss the beauty of the present moment. However, God uses each season of our lives to teach us something valuable. There is purpose in every stage, whether it's a time of growth, a period of waiting, or a season of fulfillment. When we embrace God's timing, we start to see each moment as a gift, recognizing that there is a purpose to where we are right now. We learn to find joy in the journey, to cherish the small blessings, and to trust that each step is part of a divine plan. God's timing also reminds us that He is orchestrating a much larger plan that extends beyond our individual lives. Sometimes the timing of our own dreams and desires is influenced by how they fit into His purposes for others as well. Our lives are interconnected, and God is weaving a tapestry that includes not only our personal growth but also the impact we have on those around us. We may not understand why certain events happen or why certain opportunities are delayed, but trusting in God's timing means believing that everything is unfolding for a reason. We are part of a grand design, one that God is carefully crafting to bring about good in ways that we may never fully understand. Trusting in God's timing also gives us a sense of peace. When we realize that we don't have to force things to happen, we can let go of anxiety and rest in the knowledge that God is in control. This peace does not come from knowing what will happen next, but from trusting in the one who does. It's a reminder that we are held by a loving Creator who has a plan for our lives and who is guiding us every step of the way. This peace allows us to approach each day with a sense of calm, knowing that we don't have to rush or worry about the future. Instead, we can focus on living fully in the present, confident that God's timing is always right. In moments of hardship, trusting in God's timing can be especially challenging, but also deeply transformative. There are times when we face trials that seem unbearable, and we wonder why God would allow us to go through such pain. However, even in suffering, God's timing has a purpose. Our struggles often lead us to greater strength, resilience, and compassion. They teach us empathy, helping us to understand and support others who are going through similar challenges. While we may not understand why we experience certain hardships, trusting in God's timing means believing that He can bring beauty from our pain, using our experiences to help others and to bring us closer to Him. Sometimes, God's timing surprises us with unexpected blessings. There are moments when answers arrive suddenly or opportunities present themselves in ways we never anticipated. These moments remind us that God's timing is not limited by our expectations. When we least expect it, He may open doors that we hadn't even considered, leading us to blessings beyond what we had hoped for. These surprises are a reminder that God's timing is perfect in its unpredictability, often bringing us exactly what we need when we need it most. In the end, trusting in God's timing is an act of surrender. It is the decision to let go of our need to control, to understand, and to plan everything in advance. It is about placing our lives in God's hands and trusting that He knows what is best for us. It means being patient when we don't have all the answers, finding peace in uncertainty, and believing that every season has a purpose. It is about choosing faith over fear, knowing that God's love and wisdom are guiding us, even when the path seems unclear. God's timing is indeed perfect, though it may not always align with our desires or our understanding. It requires patience, humility, and trust. But as we grow in our faith and learn to trust His timing, we discover that His plans for us are far greater than anything we could have planned for ourselves. We come to understand that every delay, every closed door, and every period of waiting is part of a beautiful journey designed to shape us, to strengthen us, and to draw us closer to God. In this journey of faith, we learn that trusting in God's timing is not about passively waiting, but about actively engaging with life, making the most of each moment, and believing that every season has its purpose. As we walk this path, we begin to see that God's timing truly is perfect, and that He is faithful to fulfill His promises in ways that exceed our expectations. Let us rest in the assurance that His timing is always right, knowing that He is at work in our lives, guiding us toward a future filled with hope, purpose, and abundant blessings.